and our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Monmouth in the flesh.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
Gotta return some videotapes.
Bonjour, horror hounds, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
I'm your bloody ski pole, Mike.
Je m'appelle Poisson.
And we are back, and we are Coltonless. He is chasing icebergs. He's been sending us pictures of icebergs like they're dick pics, and we've been impressed with the girth and the length of these icebergs. They've
Speak
been
for yourself.
Oh, geez.
No, they're all girth.
And we say that all to then say, this is our first episode of Pride Month. Welcome to Pride Month, the most glorious time of the year for us. I didn't even, last year I was all on top of things, and I did like the special Pride episode where I had everyone I interviewed everyone. Maybe I'll have to start thinking about this. Behind the curtain, it's only June 1st, so we're recording very early. You're not getting this till a week from now, so maybe I'll have to think.
Yeah, this is like preemptive Pride.
Yeah, preemptive Pride. Probably would have been more fitting if, I had wore like a Pride shirt or like something like that, but that's all right.
Also known as PP.
Ooh. Is it now, though? I thought that's what Pierre Poilievre was known as, PP.
Oh, my God. Oh, God. Cut the cameras, dead
Well, I mean, it might be related. There might be some undercover Pride things going on in PP's world, so might be why he's so cranky and angry. Nothing like just cutting off any conservative listeners we have here by just talking politics. That's how you attract people to your horror movie podcast.
I think the words Pride episode in the title would probably have already turned them off, so it's fine.
But you know what we're starting with? We're starting with what have we been consuming, what have we been watching, what have we been reading, what have we been listening to, all that good stuff. Jill, let's start with you.
Oh boy. Well, I just watched Escape from New York for the first time.
Nice.
Yes.
You guys are familiar?
You know what? I don't know if I've ever fully seen it. I've seen bits and parts, but I don't know if I've ever sat down and watched it.
No. Okay. Pull up a chair, light the campfire. Rowan has certainly seen the full movie. He watched it with me when he lived here. After I bought
I think you're right. Yeah.
After I bought the special edition Blu-ray from Scream Factory,
you're right.
We were at their house drinking, and I told them that I could probably eat half of a Greco party pizza by myself, which for listeners is literally a 4-foot long rectangular pizza.
Delicious.
So it's like the size of 3 regular pizzas. So I was essentially saying I could eat a pizza and a half by myself. The party pizza shows up and they were like, no, you said it, so you have to fucking eat half of the pizza. So they sat there while we were drinking tequila and watching fucking Escape from New York and force fed me half of a fucking party pizza. And you know what? It was delicious, but I was extremely sick within about 2 hours.
That sounds great. Free force-fed pizza.
Oh, it was great. And we got
up.
the garlic seasoning on the crust. So literally in the cab home, you could smell my garlic sweat. It was just coming out of my pores. The cabbie's like, "What's that smell?" And I'm like, "It's my skin."
Well, I guess I've seen it.
Sorry, so he has seen it.
This is so derailed right now.
Welcome back. I missed the last episode.
I love it. Right out the gate. But yeah, I did an episode on Straight Jacket Talk for Escape from New York. And both my co-hosts on that show, Nathan and Kevin, were like shocked that I had never seen it before. I don't know if that was like an American thing, like Americans love this movie, because that's what I keep hearing from like all the people.
No, everyone loves it.
Okay, everyone.
Loves
okay,
that movie.
so I just live under a rock then.
Yes, I'm actually also shocked.
I don't know if it's because I don't want to say it's because I'm a girl, but like it might be because I'm a girl.
Kurt Russell in this is the hottest a person has ever looked on screen.
Yes. Also, Adrian
and he has that badass patch.
Yeah, he's real hot. I was into him and the bisexual panic. Yay, Pride Month. Adrian Barbeau.
Exactly. Adrian Barbeau. Yeah.
Her boobs just out there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought it was fun. I liked it. I'm not really a kind of thriller, like action movie.
I was just saying, that's more on like the action-y, like 80s action, sci-fi side of stuff.
Yeah. So, if there were more horror.
Great music in it, though.
I would have liked it. Oh, yeah. It's John Carpenter. So the music slams. I really like the beginning with like the kind of like computer AI voice, like explaining the situation of New York being a prison. Yeah. And like the neon graphics. I really like that. And I really like the points where the movie was kind of more like a horror. Like in the coffee shop when the hands are like coming out of the floorboards and you have like these kind of crazy people like shambling down the streets. To me, I was like, I really want this to be a zombie movie. This would be very much elevated for me if it were a zombie movie. Mm-hmm. It kind of reminded me of The Crazies a little bit with like they're not zombies. They're just like something's happened to them and it's because of the government. So same kind of vibe. And you also have a character named Romero and he's crazy. He's that like crazy looking guy. I love him as a character. And of course the little chandeliers on the Duke's car are also amazing. Yep. So I watched that. Me and Rowan also watched Fear Street Prom Queen and did an episode of Now Slaying on it. And I guess you can go listen to our thoughts on that. It wasn't my cup of tea. Rowan didn't seem to like it either.
Question: did you guys like the like original Fear Street movies?
Yes.
Okay. I was mediocre on them. I mean, I guess it's kind of a spoiler alert, but still go listen to the episode. But yeah, I thought those three movies were far, far better than this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was disappointing.
I think me and Jill attributed it to this entry is like written and directed by a man. The other ones were not.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Also, it's a movie about a prom queen. It's written by a man. So the characters are very bland. But anyway, the last thing that I watched was Day of the Dead. And that was fun. And this is
Love it.
Coming from watching Night of the Living Dead like a couple weeks ago.
And this was your first time, right?
Yeah.
For Day of the
like
Dead?
fully sitting down, and seeing it. Yep.
Love it. Like, the Day of the Dead is my favorite entry in the George A. Romero.
Is it?
Yeah, which is, I don't know if it's because that's the one I've seen the most. Like I've said before, so if we ever do it, I'm not really spoiling, but I've said many times before, I've never actually seen Night of the Living Dead. I've seen Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
And the later entries, Land of the Dead.
You seem like a Land of the Dead girly to me. If you put a gun to my head and said which one is Ro's favorite, I would have been like Land of the Dead 100%.
John Leguizamo, Dennis Hopper. I mean, I do like that one. But for those old, that classic trilogy, I love the soundtrack to Day of the Dead, and I just really like that one, and the military versus civilian and medical community.
It's very much a different vibe. It's very 80s, very kind of adventure-esque. I want to say it's kind of like an adventure movie, and then it becomes more of a zombie movie later on. And I really like the effects and the makeup and everything of the zombies. I thought they looked really good.
And you got Bub.
Yes, and you got Bub. Speaking of zombies, I started playing the first The Last of Us game.
Oh,
nice.
And that is terrifying.
Welcome to 2000. I don't know what year that came out, but
Was it 2013?
is it that old? Oh my god! I guess when I played it,
It's old enough. Well, I mean, they put out a remaster of it, right?
Yeah,
And a sequel.
And I guess like the first time I ever played it was in Newfoundland, so yeah, it had to be around.
Because it's set in 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get very far. Like, as far as I got was to kind of like, I think the end of the first episode in the show where you get out of the city. And it really reminded me of the show. Like, everything is so detailed. I was amazed with the graphics. Like, so detailed, and then like the very fine details in the details, like the textures of everything. It looks crazy good.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous game. Are you playing the remaster or?
I don't know. I'll have to check.
I mean, just the normal game looks good. Like I remember at the time, I was like, "This is awesome." And that's one of the few games I know when I played it that I'm not much of a guy that like, you know, like Colton who like grinds at these games like all week or whatever. And, you know, you're talking to him and he's like, oh, I've put in 120 hours on this game. And that's like one of the few games I remember playing where it's like the minute I got home from work, I was playing it until I had to go to work and then on and on. And I was like, I got to finish it.
Yeah, I wish I could, but I have like mad anxiety about games like that. Like I'm afraid I'm going to mess up and then I don't know what it is, man. So.
I thought you were going to say I have a life.
No, because I play World of Warcraft, so I don't have a life. But I don't know, I get like game anxiety about like not performing well in a game. I don't know, I should talk to someone about that. But
girl, I play online like multiplayer shooter games. Like I totally get it.
Yeah, no,
I'm like, I'm not ranking up.
It's scary.
Yeah.
And also the game itself is really scary. Like I was fine with killing the real people, like that you have to kill, like the fireflies or whatever. But later on when you started seeing like all the clickers, oh my god, I lost it. I was like, I can't do this. This is so scary. And you have to get like close contact with them in order to kill them, like try to choke them out or like shiv them and stuff. So I'm scared. The whole time I was just really, really anxious. Like things were going to pop out at me and kill me. And I died like a couple of times too. So I'm not good at it and I'm really scared, but I'm enjoying it, and I like comparing it to what I've seen from the show. But yeah, it's a really good game. The last things I'm going to talk about are the books I read. I'm just going to talk about two of them. The first one is Butcher and Blackbird. I was talking to Mike and Rowan before we started recording because I just bought the other two sequels to the book. And this is kind of a trend lately in books. And Mike, you probably already know about this, but writers will... especially, I think, dark romance and romance novels, they will take a book and spin it into a trilogy with each book being a different character's, like, point of view. Mm-hmm. And the seeds are all there in the first book of how everyone is, like, kind of going to get together. And normally I don't really like that. It kind of drives me nuts because I'm like, I never like the characters in the sequels as much as I like the characters, like the protagonists in the first book. But I have really high hopes for the rest of the series because the first book was really good. It's a very interesting narrative style. Like there's time jumps to each year at the same time. So it's not like dragging you through everything that's happening. But it's based on a serial killer, well, two serial killers who kill other serial killers. And they meet... The book begins with, like, the protagonist, the girl. She's trying to kill this, like, really disgusting serial killer, and she gets trapped in the cage, but he's dead, and they're in there for, like, 3 days. And then his body is, like, bloating, and it's, like, about to erupt, and then it does, and then it describes, like, all the maggots, like, crawling towards her. It's disgusting. And then this other guy shows up who went to go kill the same guy, and they go for beers or whatever, and they start this contest every year to get someone to give them clues of a serial killer to find and see who kills them first, and whoever does wins the contest that year. So it follows that contest, like... for like 3 years until, I don't know, there's like a slow burn of kind of romance and they like get together or whatever. But yeah, it's really disgusting. It's a really disgusting romance book. So if you're into that, check it out, I guess.
Is this the one you sent us a page from on the group text?
No, I'm going to talk about that one next time
okay.
we record, because it's a 500-page book and I'm still in it. That's like straight up demon porn, so I'll be talking about that next time. Next book is Piglet by Lottie Hazel. Oop.
I really want to read that.
You should.
Okay.
I bought it at a little bookstore last weekend, and like the little old lady who worked there was telling me how much she loved it and how weird it was.
Cool.
And it is really weird. But it kind of reminds me of the Nosedive episode of Black Mirror, if you guys recall that one, where the character has this like kind of perfect life and it just slowly starts like slipping away from her and she just like totally messes up her entire life. It's kind of the same thing with this book. You follow this protagonist and the writing is deeply focused on food, like describing food at every event. And the character's kind of hyper-focused on her body and not feeling right within her body. And her nickname is Piglet. And it kind of, I don't know, goes through like her internal thoughts of how she doesn't feel right in her body. It's a little bit kind of like body horror at times, but very subtle. And it follows her, I think, like weeks up to her wedding. And then her engagement like goes to shit because her fiance cheats on her. And then everything just kind of like crumbles from there on. It's so good. I read it in like 2 days. I couldn't put it down. But yeah, definitely read it, Mike. It's so good.
Sweet, I will.
Yeah. All right. That's what I've been up to. Mike, what have you been up to?
Well, I did miss the last episode. Oopsie. I had shit going on that day. Apologies, but weirdly, I probably have the same amount of stuff that I've been watching as if I was on that episode because I've been having like a really weird, like, just, I'll get into it. Okay, so first of all, I actually have finally, it wasn't until the last episode was about to air that I decided, oh, I should probably watch this season of The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oopsie, it's totally going to get ruined for me because I didn't get the second game and I was watching people play it, but like once it got so far in, I was like, oh, I can't watch this anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm done. So I've been, trying to catch up on that. And there is also a new Drag Race season. I love my Drag Race. So been kind of like picking away at that as well. Also, the last couple days, like yesterday, I was planning on watching a couple of movies in addition to the one that we're talking about today. And you're literally never going to guess what I spent all day watching instead. Literally never. But just take one guess, and I'm just curious. It's a show.
Sex and the City.
No, but I watched that literally when it first came on the air.
Okay.
Fucking House Hunters.
What the fuck?
I know. Because Steven, formerly of Every Horror Movie on Netflix, was telling me he was watching a bunch of episodes and he was telling me about this particular one. And I was like, haha, I'll go find it on YouTube. And I found it on YouTube and I was like, oh, this is really what I'm in the mood for today. And I literally just spent all day yesterday sick and watching fucking House Hunters.
You know what? Sometimes you're in one of those moods.
Yeah, I've never been in that mood before, and now I'm obsessed, and I swear to God, next episode, it's going to be like, well, I watched 80 more episodes of House Hunters on YouTube. And yeah. HGTV has these, like, weird, like, marathon videos where it's, like, 5 or 6 episodes, like, cut, like, trimmed right down to, like, just the main stuff and all smushed together. And so I've been putting those on.
I think like the Roku live channels, they have like a House Hunters.
Oh my God.
Channel.
I have Roku Live. Okay, yeah, I'm going to have to go check that out.
I feel like they must.
The only thing that I watch on live channels is fucking Bar Rescue because I love that.
Yeah. I was going to say, because I think I talked about it like months ago on an episode that I got in this kick where I was watching. It was like House Hunters, but it was like for tiny homes.
Oh, yeah, there's videos on YouTube of that.
But they have like a whole channel of that. So there's no way they don't have a channel of just House Hunters.
For regular House Hunters, yeah.
So, yeah.
And like, listen, I'm not a person who owns a house or will ever own a house or as obsessed with houses, but there's just something about like sometimes weird couples like going and looking at houses and like accidentally airing all their dirty laundry.
Hell yeah. A little bit of drama.
Like there was one, and the whole reason we started watching it is he texted me and was like, "This woman's husband is a homosexual." And I was like, I need to see this. And then I was like, you're right, but also I want to watch more episodes. So yes, like 12 hours later, I've seen like probably the equivalent of like 3 full seasons.
Amazing.
So that is what I've been doing show-wise. I have watched a few movies. Let me open up the oldie Letterboxd here because I had it open and then I closed it because that's what I do. Okay, hang on, cut this. Okay, so since we last spoke, I had the pleasure of, again, on beautiful 4K from Criterion, a 4K disc, watched one of everybody's favorite horror movies of all time from the master, Daddy Cronenberg, Videodrome.
Oh, nice.
Superb. I mean, just so funny because that primed me for, like, the body horror of, you know, movie that we watched for this episode. Unfortunately, it also was like nobody measures up to Daddy Cronenberg, so it was sort of like, you know, watching like Bergman and then like Freddy Got Fingered or something. I don't know. But yeah, it was and I haven't seen Videodrome in years now, and the 4K Criterion of it is literally stunning. Like, I felt like I got smacked in the face. And it's such a beautiful, fucked up, weird movie. And Debbie Harry is amazing in it. And I hate that James Woods turned out to be such a fucking piece of shit of a person because he's also excellent in it.
Mm-hmm. That's been like nominated so many times, right? For like the anniversary brackets.
Yeah.
And never gets chosen.
It's a banger. Like, and it's Cronenberg, like, I feel like his movies kind of veer off into a couple of different directions, and this one I think goes down the middle because you have his more, I'm saying commercial stuff. None of his stuff is commercial, but like more like leaning in that direction. And then you have his like really, really fucked up weird stuff. Mm-hmm. And this kind of, to me, falls a little bit in the middle. Like, I think a lot of people find it very fucked up, but it's not really that bad when you've seen like a lot of his movies.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? It's like, I don't know. Anyway, it's definitely a must watch. If anybody has the opportunity to watch the ultra high def version, fucking do it, because banger is not even the word for it. And it's just so funny because like it was a bunch of us watching it and like drinking wine and, you know, eating, and I was just like, oh my god, why am I eating watching Cronenberg? This is mistakes were made.
Yeah, disgusting.
And it's funny because we followed up the Cronenberg and made a double feature with, okay, I don't know if you guys know the erotic movies Emmanuel or Black Emmanuel.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, classic erotic movies. They started making them in like the 70s. They started Emmanuel. It's like probably one of the most iconic like series of like they're not really porn. I mean, they're porny, but it's like they have plots. So they're just, I would call them more like erotic movies, I guess. And then there's Black Emmanuel, which there's literally like 50 of, like to the point where they have a huge, massive box set. It's like 20 discs and it's just all the Black Emmanuel movies. And some of them are like extremely fucked up and weird and like exploitation movies and like horror movies and like white slavery and like Satan worshiping.
Damn.
Anyway, so we watched one of the Black Emmanuel movies called Emmanuel in America. And it's kind of like if you took a James Bond movie and made it like porn, but with a woman as the Bond character.
The fuck?
Which still doesn't even describe it. Like, that's not accurate at all, but like, I don't know how to describe this movie. It's an erotic odyssey that is also, you know, a sort of chase movie and a spy movie all rolled into one. And there's like some really fucked up shit that goes down in it. Like, I will say, content warning, if you ever watch it, there is a giant erect horse penis in it.
Nice.
I don't know if there's a version where something happens with it, but thankfully in the one we watched, there wasn't.
Not going to jail.
Present. It was just present on the screen. But yeah, like seriously, they're great movies, but like there's some really weird shit that when you look at them though, like it's these like really iconic exploitation filmmakers that make a lot of them, like Joe D'Amato. So you never know what you're gonna see. Like you could see the most heinous, offensive thing in these movies. So it's cool, you know, and I think I maybe fell more in love with it because I was very drunk when we watched it. And I'm like, this is the best movie ever. So what else have I watched? Ooh, okay. Now this is in a totally different like turn of events. So, you know, I have my shitty Tubi movie nights, and one of the ones that I did a couple weeks ago, we actually landed on, instead of a weird 90s TV movie thriller, I decided that we had to rewatch, because I hadn't seen it since I was a kid, Valley Girl. Have we seen this? From 1983?
I haven't seen it, but I mean, it's very iconic. You're like,
it's iconic.
Like Nicolas Cage, right?
It was Nicolas Cage's first leading role, yeah.
Yeah.
1983. He's like a little baby, very hot, and it co-stars Deborah Foreman, who we will recognize as Muffy from April Fool's Day.
Oh, yeah.
One of our favorites.
Yeah.
Podcast favorite. Legendary. And it's just this beautiful movie, and it's so funny. So it's like kind of a teen movie riff on like Romeo and Juliet, which obviously in the 2000s and stuff they were doing those, but like this was like the original. This was 1983. You know, it's about this like valley girl, a girl from the valley, and you know, she meets this, you know, guy from the wrong side of the tracks, and he's like a bit punky and likes, you know, rock music, and she's, you know, into like the new wave music, and her friends are all like, what the fuck are you doing with him? And she's got the preppy boyfriend. You know, it's like that standard like timeless classic tale. The soundtrack is literally one of the most amazing soundtracks you'll ever hear in a movie. When you watch it, it's all the like, oh, like gross me out, gag me with a spoon. Like literally, and it sounds like a cliche. It's like if someone was making fun of or parodying an 80s movie, but it's the one that originated that in like pop culture. And it's just a beautiful love story. It's really funny. I like might have even given it like 5 stars on Letterboxd. I was just like, this movie is so good. I forgot how good it was. So that was amazing. Definitely like when we were having our like drinks and stuff, usually we're like screaming at the TV, and this was like, oh, it's just like a nice love story, and we were just getting crunk and like not just like watching this weird romance movie. But yeah, it's great. If you guys haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out and go listen to the soundtrack. It's like
it's on my list of movies to watch.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like really like legitimately a beautiful movie. And she's wonderful. Like, oh my God. Like, we all like love Nicolas Cage, especially, you know, in his prime, but like she is excellent. Like, she's an excellent actress. And actually last week I showed, this was like one of the proudest moments of my life. I showed my 17-year-old nephew for the first time ever. He's only seen a couple of horror movies, and we decided to show him Suspiria.
Yes.
Original.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was you know, that's a banger. It's literally 5 stars, like top 5 movies of all time to me. So there's no way anybody would ever be listening to this and not like, you know and or love Suspiria. But it was really interesting watching it with like a teenager who is not like, when I saw Suspiria, I had seen 700 horror movies. So, and I was still gagged. I can only imagine like what must have been going through his head. Near the end, he did just say, like, how long is this again?
Oh no, did he like it?
But he said afterwards, he's like, yeah, I liked it. But I think that he has not seen a movie like that before. And there's like, you know, the plot is non-existent. It's just like set pieces. So I don't think he was used to that.
And I'm just going to tell you, you know, kids these days, the attention span's not there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, they're TikTok. Like, if it's longer than 3 minutes, they're gone.
Yeah.
But he stuck it out and he says he liked it. So we'll see. Maybe like 10 years from now, he'll be like, oh my God, like I remember watching Suspiria. That's what I'm hoping for. Like, fingers crossed.
That'd be great.
So yeah. And I'll be like, yeah, tee, you saw the beautiful limited edition Blu-ray at my house.
Very special.
And the last movie I saw is probably the most underwhelming of all of them. But it was from my other Tubi TV movie night. And it was called Fear Stock. It's from 1989, and it stars Jill Clayburgh, who was in a lot of 90s TV movies. And it's about this, like, you know, high-powered, like, female executive, like, TV producer. And, you know, she's on top of the world, and she's, like, a fucking girl boss. And she's, like, telling people what to do at work and wears, like, power suits that are chic with like big, you know, shoulder pads and like beautiful like coiffed hair. And then someone steals her purse, and obviously it's her whole life is in there, and like, you know, they start like terrorizing her and like all of her friends, and they have her, you know, address book and all of her credit cards, and they're like taking money out of her account. And it's kind of like if someone hacked your phone today. Awesome. You know, and you know, it's like, oh, the police are like not taking it seriously, so it's kind of like her and these other people, like, you know, trying to like figure out who it is, and, you know, like get their revenge and take her life back. And honestly, like, it's kind of predictable, but it was also kind of super fun, and like it was really well shot, and the costumes were beautiful for a TV movie. We've spent the whole time like gagging over like how good the clothes were. We're like, oh my God, like look at the bed sheet and stuff. Yeah, it's like pretty predictable, and it's definitely not everyone's taste, but I enjoyed it. It had a good cast. You know, it was like serviceable Tubi, you know, slop.
We love it.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I've been. Ro, what about you? I feel awful because I was gonna say you should have 800 things, and you did, and you said them last week when I wasn't here.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a bit. You know, I guess I'll bring up the stuff, as I always say, then I won't really talk about because it was like horror, so I'll just say I watched it. But Jill said, Fear Street, Prom Queen, you can hear her now slaying on that. By the time this is out, it'll already be out, but me and Colton did a new Now Slaying on Bring Her Back that just came out this weekend, and you can hear our thoughts on that one. I did manage to fit in watching Final Destination 5, which was the last one I needed to watch. I rewatched all of them. So I watched that, and I rewatched Smile 2 just for fun. So we have a Now Slaying on that one. You can hear my thoughts on it. I like that movie. And then for stuff that I'll actually talk about, so I had taken advantage of like an Amazon sale. All these 4Ks were on sale. And when I get a chance, I get them cheap. I'm a collector of like BBC Nature stuff and, you know, like National Geographic and, but like all the stuff in 4K. So, there's a company, I think they're called Extreme. They basically package, now this is for old people like us. Back in the day, IMAX didn't always play, you know, Mission Impossible. You went to IMAX with your school, and you go there, and they played, like, nature documentaries and documentaries about space, and it was just documentaries, really.
I remember that.
You'd go there for, like, educational things, and you'd be like, this is nuts. The screen's huge.
Didn't the seats, like, lean back and stuff, too?
Yeah, because it would, like, go up into, like... It's almost like this Screen X idea right now, but, yeah, so, basically... That's not real. You can catch them in some places. I know in Newfoundland, the Geo Center actually plays a lot of stuff like that still. But, you know, you can't see that in a normal IMAX anymore. So these old documentaries have basically been remastered in 4K and presented. So me and X, I'd bought the collection of them. So we did watch 2 of them. One was called Grand Canyon Adventure, River at Risk. So that was pretty cool, just because it was a place that me and Exili enjoy. We visited the Grand Canyon, but to see it in 4K, it's kind of funny because you tell it was old. The highlight of this, because it's a documentarian that takes his, you know, it's like this story that basically he took his daughter while they shot this to the river in the Grand Canyon because, like, she was about to go to university, and it was, you know, it was this thing they always did as father and daughter. But they're joined by another family, his very good friend, who I'd say is very prominent in the news right now, very famous, who is RFK was his friend. And this was back in the day when RFK was just an environmentalist. Like, this was when I feel like most people just liked him. Like, he was just out protecting rivers and protecting the forest and stuff like that. So it was like young RFK in this. It was kind of funny because he's like in it, like, because he's obviously more famous than this documentarian. They just are showing him the entire time. And it's like RFK kayaking down a river, RFK like telling stories under the stars, like not RFK, you know, bathing in a toxic cesspool of water with his grandchildren. But yeah, no, it's very beautiful. It was very interesting. I liked it because like the kind of when they're introducing the title card and stuff, like, you know, these were like from anywhere from like 2001 to 2011 they made like these documentaries, and like, so the effects were like really cheesy and like looked pretty bad, but gorgeous. And the other one we watched that one was from 2008. The other one in this package is Tornado Alley from 2011. And this was not bad. It was not a lot of tornadoes, which was kind of weird. I wish it had more tornadoes, but it is narrated, of course, by the all-time great Bill Paxton. And I mean, this is just 100% influenced by Twister. You know, they have Bill Paxton narrating it. And it's actually about scientists that do essentially the exact same thing Bill Paxton's crew does in Twister, which is fly up to tornadoes and fill it with these sensors so they can, you know, learn things about tornadoes. And it was cool, though. 4K, you know, everything looks really good. And there wasn't a lot of tornado stuff in it. It was a lot more of just the science behind what they do and showing some of the devastation that the tornadoes leave. But I kind of wish I came here for tornadoes, guys, and I didn't see a lot of tornadoes.
Well, question.
Yeah.
So they didn't have like a lot of tornadoes, but did they have a lot of alleys?
Not enough alleys. Maybe some wrecked bowling alleys, but that's about as far as you're getting in terms of alleys. I watched another documentary with Exilia we watched on Netflix. I don't know if it's from last year, but it just went up this year. It's called The Quilters, and I really enjoyed this one. So this one is it's a documentary, and it is in the South Central Correctional Center, and basically these are guys that are like basically most of them are there for like life sentences, and they've kind of found this like new calling in life where they make quilts, like basically I think like 5 to 7 days a week. They do it as like you know, they work like normal working hours, but they make quilts for children in like foster care and children like with autism and stuff like that. And like kids can put in requests like, I'd like a quilt that has, you know, butterflies on it. And then these guys make them. And it was just like, you know, it's obviously just like a heartwarming thing. And, you know, you get to see like some sad stuff of like guys that kind of really love doing this. And then like they'll screw up because they're very strict with this program. So, like, if you screw up, you get kicked out of the program and you can't come back. And, like, so they show guys like that, and they show other guys that have been doing this program for, like, you know, 30 years. And it's kind of interesting, right? Yeah, obviously, the juxtaposition when you're interviewing this guy that, you know, murdered someone in cold blood and is there for life. And there's like a guy that's there for murder that they were interviewing, and all he makes now are quilts with butterflies on it. That's all he does is butterfly quilts, because his mom was obsessed with butterflies and she had taught him to sew. So he like does this, and you know,
my God, now I want a butterfly quilt.
Yeah, it was really good. It's not long. Like I think it's only like a half-hour long documentary. I kind of wish it was longer just to kind of get more of the guy's stories. But I really, really enjoyed that. Let's get out of not so heartwarming things.
Okay.
Finally got to watch Den of Thieves 2 Pantera. I was super excited for this because the Den of Thieves 1 is like just 5 stars. It's so good. It's so like probably one of my favorite heist movies like since Heat. It's just like so wild. Gerard Butler just playing like a fat drunk cop that's like obsessed with strippers and stuff. Like this is his franchise. This one wasn't as good, but you know, it was still, you know, there were some scenes in it that were definitely like, we're back. We're so back. Some great car chases. And obviously, what do you do with the second movie? You get the companies to give you a bunch of money so you can make a heist film in Europe and like Italy and stuff. So like they shot it all overseas. It looks beautiful. It's like I said, it stars Gerard Butler and Ice Cube's son there. O'Shea, I can't think of his first name there, but yeah, Ice Cube's son. They're great in it. It was a lot of fun. And then I guess following up on I've been on like an action kick, you know. So then I watched Jason Statham's newest movie, which is A Working Man. Which is written and directed by David Ayer, obviously of Suicide Squad fame, like the first Suicide movie. And this was, you know, it was a Jason Statham movie. Within 3 minutes of this movie, he's like hitting people with rifles and stuff. Who are these people? I don't know. What is the conflict? I don't know. Jason Statham's just beating people up and he's a dad in it. But I still argue, like, even in a movie that the entire time I watched it, me and the guy I watched it with at work, I was like, do you know what's going on? And he's like, I have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, all right, whatever. It's a Russian mafia or something. But you know what? Statham's just, like, so charming, I think, that he's one of the few guys that can really, like, carry anything just with his personality. And for someone, you know, I think he's the only one that does anything that's really close to just those, you know, like Schwarzenegger, Stallone kind of movies. I should mention this wasn't written by David Ayer. This was written by Sylvester Stallone. That's who it was written by.
Interesting.
Not great. But but Statham held it up, and you know what? It was fun just for some shits and giggles. I did get a chance to check out, I think Colton talked about it a couple weeks ago, Novocaine. Mm-hmm. That has what's his name in there, the Quaid kid in it. I thought this was pretty.
Jack?
Is that his name? I never know. I just know the guy from...
I don't know either.
Let me look here. Jack Quaid. That's who I'm thinking of. Yeah. Guy from Scream. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Most people say from The Boys, but I say from Scream. Yeah, this was good. I thought this was super funny. It's, you know, it's like action comedy, and it's as wild as they, you know, advertised it. It was a good, like, I'm looking for something to watch at night that, you know, isn't heavy, that I can just watch, you know, and, I thought it was pretty good. Then I checked out The Accountant, because I have interest in seeing the second one. So that was the one that stars Ben Affleck and John Berthnall.
I didn't know that you were interested in like bookkeeping and
Yeah, and I mean, I really like this. The cast is kind of like, I didn't know anything about it. I'd seen the trailers for the second one, and I was like, I've never even heard of the first one. So I went and looked, pressed play on it. I didn't know who was in it. And then I, like, when you look and you're like, wait a second, this person's in it? Wait a second, this person's in it? But I mean, yeah, like the top billing is like Ben Affleck, John Berthnall, Anna Kendrick, J.K. Simmons, and John Lithgow. Like, it's pretty packed with all people I like. And, like, Anna Kendrick's amazing in it. And, I mean, Affleck's great in it. It's a cool little action thriller movie that I really enjoyed. And then, I guess, to keep the Anna Kendrick going, I know I messaged Mike a couple days ago. I finally watched A Simple Favor, because I had never seen it before.
Oh,
and I know the second one's out, so I do plan on watching the second one. And I'd never seen this before, and I had a time. With it. I actually thought...
It is a time.
Yeah, I thought it was... I hearkened it to, like, some cheap romantic thriller murder mystery that your grandmother would buy at, like, the drugstore and read or something. It's like that in a movie. But I mean, I thought this was good. I thought the twists were fun, and I was having a riot where the twist, I'd be like, what is going on? Like,
Invested.
She did what? And, yeah, I mean, Anna Kendrick, I love Anna Kendrick. I think she's fantastic.
She's so charming.
Yeah, very charming. Yeah. And I know we all hate Blake Lively, but this is like her role. I'm like, this is even more so now for how much everyone hates her for her being a terrible person. I'm like, well, this is like the role. This is just Blake Lively.
She makes a better villain, I think, than when she's like the protagonist of the movie.
But yeah, I thought this was fantastic. I had a really great time with it.
Wow.
And that's it. That's all I watched. So with that, let's get into our film. And I guess it's me. I'm like, why did we choose it, Rowan? Well, why we chose it. So the film is from 2016. It is Raw. The reason I chose it is because, as I said, it is Pride Month. This is our first Pride episode. And I did what every straight white guy does when he's got to make a Pride pick. I go to Google. I look at 8 million sites. I'm like, top, Pride horror movies to watch, like horror movies to watch during Pride, or like top LGBTQ movies. Because I didn't know what I wanted to pick. And I was trying to compare lists to things that were on kind of my personal master list of stuff I'd like to do on the show. And Raw is one that just kept showing up on everything I read. I remember it. I don't know if it still is, but I remember last year, a couple years ago, it was on Shudder's like Pride Month like watches. So I was like, Raw is one that I've really wanted to watch. I've seen Titan, I believe is how you pronounce it. So I've seen this director's second movie, but I had never seen this one. And I did want to see it. So, I mean, that's why I picked it. So, you know what? Instead of me blabbing on, let's get into the trailer, and then we'll be back with the synopsis and first experiences.
From award-winning writer-director Julia Ducournau, Raw is an emotionally driven coming-of-age movie. An unforgettable vision. Beautifully realized and disturbingly erotic. Raw, rated R.
2016's Raw is written and directed by Julia Ducournau, and the synopsis is as follows. In Justine's family, everyone is a vet and a vegetarian. At 16, she's a gifted teen ready to take on her first year in vet school, where her older sister also studies. There, she gets no time to settle. Hazing starts right away. Justine is forced to eat raw meat for the first time in her life. Unexpected consequences emerge as her true self begins to form. So, first experiences. Is this our first time watching Raw? Or are we, have we seen this a couple times? We go to the Superstore Sobeys, buy a pack of beef kidneys or something, just start whiffing them back and while we watch a little bit of Raw, or what? Mike, let's start with you.
So, after I throw back my tray of beef kidneys and then wash it down with some rabbit blood, I have had this on my list since it came out pretty much, and especially once her follow-up film came out, and it looked really crazy. I was like, oh yeah, I really need to go back and watch Raw. I just never did for some reason. It's like always been on my watch list, and I just keep kind of like bumping it for other things. And it's funny because there was a couple of months when I felt like I had seen it already, but it turns out that I had only listened to the Every Horror Movie on Netflix episode on it. It was like I just listened to that the week it came out, and I was like, I don't not listen to podcast episodes when I haven't seen the movie because half the time I haven't seen it. So I'm just like, I'll listen to it and I'll get the gist. So I kind of felt like I had seen it already because I'd listened to like an hour episode on it. But it turns out I never actually saw it. So yeah, this was my first time. Jill, what about you?
Yeah, like you, this was my first watch. Also was on my Letterboxd watch list for a while. Same with her other movie, Titan or Titane or
Yeah,
however you say
Titan
it.
or
Yeah, and I know the style of these movies, it's very artful, very kind of heavy, so it's not something you can just throw on, and so that's why I haven't really put it on. Oh, there, Rowan, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Row with the physical media.
Physical media.
That's
always.
right. Yeah, and I don't have, mine's copy city over there. I have Raw. I've had Raw. I have never watched it.
Okay, nice. So you own them, and then eventually,
Yeah,
you'll watch
eventually
them.
I watch them.
With the podcast.
I mean, this is one I had in the collection because Scream Factory put this out. So this was one that, like, it was on a sale or something. I was like, yeah, I got to pick this up. This, like you guys, has been on my watch list. I've seen Titan before, not knowing that it was, like, the same director as Raw. Like, a friend of mine showed me it. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Like, what else have they done? And they were like, oh, have you seen this movie Raw? And then I was like, oh, yeah, I own this, but I've never watched it. That was like 2 or 3 years ago. But I remember seeing the trailer for this when it was coming out and thinking like, oh, yeah, like I've got to see this the minute it comes out. And, that didn't happen. So, this is going to be interesting. Let's just really get into it and open the Bloodgates here, because I think it's interesting because the only person that has seen this movie is not here. Colton has seen this movie, so it'll be interesting. 3 people that have never seen it talking about it. So yeah, I don't know where you guys want to start. I know my first note is like from the get-go when this movie starts. My first note just says, "Leave it to the French." To start a movie like this.
I mean, yeah.
I literally looked away for 5 seconds because my phone started buzzing. And I was like, what the fuck did I miss? And then I had to go back and rewind it. And I was like, oh, I actually didn't miss anything. Like, I saw what I saw. I just was like, that can't be it. I must be missing something. But I have to say, let's compare first notes. So I'll want to hear what yours was, Jill. So that was Rose. Mine was, is her father giving her a look? ... Question mark. I don't know. I was getting like a weird skeezy vibe from her dad, like right from the get-go.
Oh my God. I was also getting a skeezy vibe from the dad, but for me, it was at the end.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's explaining like the relationship with the mom and like unbuttoning the shirt and showing off the scars and all that. I was like, this seems inappropriate. Even at times with the sister, I was like, is this like veering in kind of an incest kind of direction?
I mean, that would be my note like 20 times. It's like every 5 lines. Incest? ?
Leave it to the French.
Leave it to the French, exactly. Rose started off with a banger.
I was just going to say in response to that was that I think we'll probably get into that. I think it's interesting that I also had that kind of, I was like, what's going on here? But then when you realize by the end of this, like what that feeling that you kind of think is this, but it's actually this. And how interesting, like, parallel those feelings towards this family are. Where, something's weird going on with this family. It's just maybe something not, incest. But continue, Jill.
Yeah. Oh, no. I want to go back to that later. But my first note was the quote, "How do you see yourself?" Because I think this is, like, pretty far into the movie. It's when the two sisters get together and they're doing, like, the waxing. And the finger incident happens. And also, this scene is with the doctor, I think, where she's telling an anecdote about having, like, I don't know, like an overweight patient and how the doctor didn't mention the weight. And the patient was, like, really happy that they didn't mention it because all the other doctors do. And then she asked Justine, "How do you see yourself?" And I think that's an important thread that's throughout the movie, especially with her being such a young age and going through something that most of us don't really go through until we're like at least like in our 20s or like 19 or something. So she's awfully young to be going through this. And so she's still kind of like an adolescent, and you know, going through all this extra like adult stuff, but she's also settling into her body, and it's just like a really awful time, and it's a really good place to do body horror. And yeah, I thought that kind of thread throughout the movie about like how you see yourself, and then it leads into other kind of threads like beauty is pain, and I feel like they kind of compare like vampirism or cannibalism with like having an eating disorder. I felt like that was a thing that was kind of explored in the movie as well, because she's like getting skinnier and stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was my first note. I just thought it was like a really powerful line.
Yeah, well, and my note, really all I was thinking about, I was like, man, this is the second French movie we've reviewed that just starts with a car accident. Inside also started with this. But I just thought it was really interesting. It's really well played, because when this car accident happens, as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, okay. I'm like, does this car accident have nothing to do with this movie whatsoever?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they just randomly showed me this thing. And, yeah, I mean, obviously they bring it back around, and there's a whole reason we're seeing this. But, I love a good, like a good cold open like that, where it makes zero sense to me. And then I like to be frustrated? Maybe that's the case. I like to be frustrated, and I'm like, oh, what the hell? And then when that revelation comes, I'm like, oh, like, yes, thank you.
I have a question for that revelation, because this was kind of a heavy movie, and I just watched it before we recorded, so I kind of wish I had more time to like let it kind of sink in.
Yeah,
it is a lot going on. But could you? Well, I'll tell you what I think first, but I want to know what your revelation is about the car accident. I'm just thinking now that the parents did that, or the sister, one of her family members, like started that car accident in the beginning, to get food, and then it jumps to them like getting food out at a restaurant and like eating like normal people. Like,
yeah, I kind of assumed the beginning, because they have it so far away that obviously you're not seeing up close who it is. I assumed it was it was the sister, like Alexia, doing that. And then when they switch that to, Justine having dinner with her father and her mother, like, then, yeah, it's that juxtaposition of, like, we kind of, even though we don't know it yet, we're seeing a cannibal getting their food, and then we see this family that's eating vegetables and all that stuff, and then tying it in.
That's great. Also, just because we're talking about that scene, so I'm also a vegetarian, and I felt a certain kind of way at the beginning of this movie when she got the meatball and her mashed potatoes, and then her mom's making this big deal about it, like, oh, I can't stand it when they do this, like, what if you had an allergy or whatever. I don't know, I felt that hard. And then it made the rest of the movie so freaking gross for me, because I don't know, I've been vegetarian for so long that if I accidentally like ate meat, I would just feel so like sick and disgusting afterwards, because I kind of look at it like cannibalism. So the fact that meatball is kind of like the pipeline into cannibalism is too real for me.
I never understand I never understand people that get like really upset at like, like obviously this meme of like fucking vegetarians and vegans and stuff. Like, I don't know. I never really understand it. I ate vegan and vegetarian for like a year or two when I was younger. And, I mean, I feel bad because I know it sucks like finding stuff to eat that, when you're trying to avoid stuff. But I never understand, like, the vitriol anger from, like, people that eat meat that are like, oh, these fucking guys.
Yeah.
No, I like real. I like that you said that. I said that. Then my second note written in my notes just says fucking vegetarians.
Wow, bro. Wow.
Just leave it to these goddamn vegetarians just complaining.
Whiny vegetarians.
You're like, I have no problem with it unless you start complaining, and then that's it. It's over.
But yeah, I mean, I thought the family dynamics in this in general were just kind of interesting. I really liked, like, as they dropped Justine off at the university, like, this dad with zero patience. This dad was just like, see ya. like just leave her in an empty parking lot. And I just thought it was really interesting how she portrays this family, because like even though the dad is very sympathetic, and obviously we realize at the end like what's going on, and he's fully aware that the entire family are like cannibals. So I'm assuming not him, it's just the women in the family. Yeah. And, he's obviously aiding because he shows his chest and he's missing all these, pieces of himself. But I thought it was just kind of interesting because they almost play it that I kind of got the feeling that, like, she was kind of like a, like, daddy's girl. Like, she seemed very, I'm trying to think of the right words. Like, just very, like, trying to get his attention and get his praise and stuff like that. But, like, he was just, like, so indifferent with the stuff, like, just dropping her off. And I guess now that I kind of think about it, I was like, do you think that's because he kind of knows, like, okay, she's going to university. This is when this transformation and their mom happened. This is when the transformation and the sister happened. So he kind of knows, like, I'm going to lose my daughter now to her just being a full-out cannibal now.
Yeah. I'm really happy you said that because something just kind of clicked in my head. I think there's also, maybe, I'm pretty sure this is intended, but like a double meaning of, dropping your kid off at university. And that's like their journey into becoming their own independent person, because it's the only time where you really just move out on your own after being a kid. So dads are kind of like awkward about that too. Like they don't know what to do. You know what I mean? So they're just like, yeah, let's get out of here. But also it's like the end of innocence, especially for Justine, because she gets deflowered or whatever. But I feel like dads also feel awkward about that and also feel sad about losing like their little girls. You know what I mean? So yeah, maybe that's his way of like dealing with it too. Just like get it over with.
I was like, in hindsight, I was just thinking it's like, is he like, it's like when you're dropping your dog off at the vet or something, just speaking of it being a veterinarian school, it's like, I'm not going to coddle. That's kind of like, I'm not saying that's what it was, but I'm like projecting, like, is that what he's thinking?
One thing I didn't think, and maybe I was wide awake, so unless I missed it and you guys picked it up, but I thought wasn't portrayed great in this, like for understanding wise, is, obviously I'm Rowan, so I watched, some special features when I was done watching the film, and one of them, there's a lot of interviews with Julia Ducournau on this, and she was saying that Justine is supposed to be 16, that it's supposed to be that she's like this prodigy child. So she's out of school early and she's going to university earlier than everybody else. Which, like, to me, I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But, like, to me, I never picked that up in the story. I don't think they ever mention her age. I just kind of assume she graduated, which I'm assuming technically she graduated, but I think it adds another aspect to the story if she's actually way younger than everybody else at this school. And
there's somewhere near the beginning where it does get touched on briefly, because I did know that the whole way through and I tried not to read too much about it. But like the prof goes out of his way, that like one asshole guy, to say like 20 times like, you're a prodigy and you're the child superstar, but you're, garbage, essentially, like, just trying to tear her down.
That teacher was, and that's that prof like, was such a dick, but he was so awesome just because he was such a dick. I liked when
he's the tough love prof.
I like when he was just marking her paper in front of her, and he was
already one wrong.
Yeah. I was like, oh dear Lord, the anxiety she must be feeling.
Yeah, I was getting like big homeschool vibes from that family, I'm not gonna lie. Homeschool vibes, derogatory.
Yeah.
Well, interesting. I just thought it was really interesting. A whole family of veterinarians. That's like kind of impressive. It's just
and vegetarians.
Although I don't know, like after experiences in this movie. The school, I feel like not a great vet school. I don't know what's going like. Maybe not a high-end one. The parents even comment that the place like looks like garbage since they were there and they're not upkeeping it. But I mean, who knows? Who knows with that?
Well, maybe you should use your alumni donations to help them out a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
God help us.
And then, what I like in any, whether it's a horror movie or not, any movie entertains me when it's about like fraternities and hazing and all that kind of stuff. Because you know what all it really reminds me of? It really reminds me of when all these like skeets at MUN were like trying to... if you're listening, you're not from Newfoundland.
I was going to say real local discussion coming up.
MUN is the big university in St. John's, Newfoundland, Memorial University.
That we all attended.
Yes, that we all attended. But there was basically like a bunch of guys that were like trying to make a fraternity on campus, and they were doing like a big push for it. I remember it was like a big controversy. They had like got a house that was close to the subway by the university, and
where me and Rowan worked. Yep, they had.
I used to walk by there every day going to work.
I don't think they were successful.
I was like, "Oh, hey guys, I just passed by 8 people stood out pissing on the front of that house at 12:30 at night." Yeah,
I don't think they were successful in getting a fraternity on campus.
I don't think they're allowed.
Yeah, I think there was something. I mean, which would probably I thought was interesting because I don't know what it's like in like France or anywhere like that. But like I was thinking, like a lot of our listeners are from the U.S. and that's such like a prominent thing in like college, like university culture there, where like in Canada, that's not really like a big thing.
No,
I know.
Is it at all? Does it exist there?
Kind of, but not not officially. Like I remember Exilio went to St. Mary's University in Halifax, and like they would have like kind of frat houses, but like they had a house that like I used to DJ parties at that like all the football players lived there, and it was basically like a frat house, but and I remember like people I knew, there was a guy I knew that they claimed an actual frat house, and it looked like one. Like downstairs was like pool tables, and like the house was just a party house essentially. But I don't think any of the universities really recognize that. Like like when I went to York and Toronto, they didn't have any like stuff like the Greek culture is not really a thing up here. Maybe we're just not rich enough in Canada.
Yeah, true.
I really think it's not allowed. Like I remember when I was in university and living on residence, I was hearing about that discussion, like that the universities are not allowed to be associated with them, or hazing and like froshing was not allowed either. Yeah,
maybe that's wrong. Is that what's wrong with the kids these days? Not enough hazing, or
I don't know.
Enough
I didn't
blood
get
dumped on their head. Yeah. But I mean, this movie kind of hitting all the notes for me, really, in this front end. Like, I had a note about, like, nothing like a good all-out college rager scene. The music, awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. I knew you were, like, digging that.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, so
it follows kind of vibe.
Well, not just that, but, man, the connective tissue between this movie and Closet Monster. Closet Monster was on my mind a lot watching this with the body horror, but I thought a lot of the scenes of the parties and stuff were really evocative of like those house party scenes and Closet Monster and obviously I later on in this discussion I do want to have a conversation because I'm curious at where you guys would place this in relation to Pride Month and as a Pride pick. I'm quite curious that like this is on everybody's list as like this LGBTQ film, and I'll save that for later. I think this is going to be a big, interesting discussion on that. But yeah, like you guys into the party scenes? Like, am I the only one here?
Yeah, I really liked.
No, I loved it.
Same, especially the paint scene where they had to in like blue and yellow paint, and they got locked into the closet, and the guy was like, "Don't come out until you're green." That's crazy. I've never seen anything like that before.
I mean, listen, I know it's beside the point, but like that whole time I was just like, who cleans this? This shit is all over everything. It is going to be all over the walls, all over the tiles. Like, what type of paint is it? How is it going to come off?
Yeah.
Are they just going to spend 4 days like scrubbing every inch because they wanted to do this stupid bullshit? Like, are you cleaning this shit up? I was like, oh my God, the drains must be completely clogged. Like, ooh.
Yeah. And the blood.
Well, I kept
I was
wondering
like,
by the end of it, like, is she going to end up with that guy, or I guess not, because she gets kicked out of school essentially at the end. It seems, but because she bites the guy she goes into the bathroom with, she bites his lip, the bottom of his lip, essentially off, and I was like, that's interesting because the father has the top of his lip, and then he was like, basically. I was assuming okay, and then he kind of knew what was up, and then him and the mother ended up being together. So I was like, oh, maybe this will be...
That's smart.
Maybe that's like her connection there or whatever. I thought you would be more offended, Jill, by... How do you feel about, like, just, Alexia just brings her dogs to these parties, just hanging out in the rave, strobe lights going off, people are just, like, going wild, and there's just a dog just chilling there.
Yeah. Save the dogs, man. Don't be having dogs.
The dog's not even like off to the side. Like she's got the dog right up in the middle of the dance floor, just standing beside her while she's just like blackout drunk.
Poor thing is gonna be traumatized.
And you know people are feeding that, like drunk high people are feeding that dog shit. Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're like, oh, here, have some Molly, Fido. Like,
oh, yeah, definitely. And then there's the dog that gets put down, which is like another thing that ties into the story.
What was that dog's name? I should have wrote it down. Like Chauncey, I don't know, something.
Oh, it was something that began Dickie or ends with a Y.
Something
like that. Chauncey or Dickie. One of the
Chauncey or Dickie.
One of the two.
We're like, so you're a aristocrat's son from the 1920s.
Uh-huh.
Chauncey and Dickie.
Very fancy. But the dog, yeah. I like the quote that came from that. Like
Quickie.
An animal.
Quickie, yeah.
An animal that has tasted human flesh is dangerous and it'll bite again. And then you think about the sister who, she gets into major trouble for it. Like she goes to prison and everything for doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's like she's getting put down and then... and then her sister kind of gets away, kind of scot-free, I feel like.
Yeah, I love that. I also just that comparison, because obviously both these sisters, as it goes on, are also getting like feraler and like
yeah.
I mean, especially Justine. I mean, I did have a question for you, Jill. I was curious. You're going to university. They're lined up. Are you eating, what was it, rabbit kidney or something? It's like the piece of rabbit kidney. Like if someone just shoves it in your mouth, I feel like you could just like even can you fake chew it and just spit it out or something? Or
yeah, I wouldn't even put it in my mouth. First of all, that gave me like hardcore flashbacks back to my childhood. The Boys and Girls Club back in my hometown used to have like
oh my god, like not the tea being spilled.
They used to have a Fear Factor kind of thing, and so they would make you eat like weird stuff if you got far enough into the competition. And one of the things was like capelin, which are like tiny like dried fish covered in chocolate, just the whole fish, but dipped in a little bit of chocolate.
Not me. I mean, I'm like, that doesn't sound too bad.
Oh hell no!
I'm a fish guy.
I tapped out. No, I do not.
Yeah, I was like,
fish.
my father would probably love that. If I proposed to him capelin with chocolate on it, he's gonna lose it.
Gross. No, but yeah, that's disgusting. Also, I was a little bit confused when watching this because this is a big movie on like figuring it out yourself, and there's a lot of subtleties and nuances in it.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if it was because she ate a piece of the meatball first and then she started like craving this like meat that like I was wondering if that's like what started it, or is it just because she's at that age and she's going to university and like getting all these experiences. Maybe it could be a bit of both. But then when she eats that like kidney thing, that's when it like all kind of breaks loose, like all hell breaks loose, I feel like. So yeah, I want to know what the catalyst is for the transformation.
I didn't think about that because obviously I just went in kind of plain Jane, being like, okay, like she eats this rabbit kidney, and then that that obviously gives her the rash and all that stuff. But now that you say it, yeah, there's like these things that are kind of leading into it.
I mean, she didn't eat any of it though, right? Didn't it just kind of like get in her mouth and then she like gagged and was like, bleh.
I'm not sure because they don't show
I don't know.
you.
I don't know.
Like her spitting it out. It's just like her kind of like gagging, and then the
No, I literally
away.
Like saw it coming out of her mouth.
Oh fuck! Okay.
Yes,
she does spit it out, but I know what you're saying. Like, did she?
Yeah,
she could have like bit into a bit
ingest
of it,
some of it. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Get the juices. The juices came out.
But I mean, that could also be because the mom was like pissed. The mom's like, "We're vegetarians. I'm going to complain," doing the typical mom thing, which I'm just telling you now, like, I'm not going out to eat with this mom. That this is like even like we have friends like that I know. Like if I go to a restaurant, they're gonna like complain about something, which is like my worst nightmare. Like,
same. I'm like, you're getting boogers in your food.
Yeah, well, and I'm just like, I don't even want to be at a table with you when you're like complaining to the waiter.
Being a dick.
Because of course I'm one of those people that I'm like, I don't care if you pay for this food or not. Like, you could just stay home and make your own food. So, you know, fuck off. But yeah, other than that, yeah, maybe, you know, now that I think about it, I guess too, the mom went through all this. So maybe that's why the mom knew like this isn't the time for her to have meat. Like, she needs to be at school and do this.
She needs to be 12 hours further along. Because that was when they were on their way to the school, right?
Well, she's like, she needs to be 12 hours away from me at least. Maybe
that's true.
Do you think that's the reason for them being vegetarians? Like the whole family is like protecting
I was
her?
going to say that. Like, I assumed that was their like defense mechanism.
Yeah. Well, and I would think too, like, because you would assume,
like, if we eat only vegetables other than this human meat or whatever,
Because I would assume, like, the mom's not just eating the dad. I mean, he'd probably die. So she's probably eating. I kind of assumed that maybe Alexia learned the car accident trick, like, from her parents.
Right.
I was like thinking, is the one at the beginning maybe like the mother, and we just it's
too
so far away you don't know.
Yeah, maybe. And then to me the vegetarianism is also like, because if anyone was on like the, you know, a cop or something's on the trail,
like we're vegetarians, everybody knows.
Yeah,
you know?
We're vets. We love animals, and like, so why would we eat meat?
Yeah, except that being a vet then gives you access. To all of the dead or dying or near dead or won't be missed meat. You know, it's like a vampire working at a blood bank.
I thought this was a vampire movie for a long time. I guess it kind of is in a way.
It sort of is, yeah.
Yeah,
cannibalism, vampires. They're
also a bit of a werewolf movie.
Yes. It was giving me ginger snaps.
Because she does sort of transform. I'm going to say, I was like, literally, I had, one of my notes was like, ask Jill about how this is exactly ginger snaps.
Yep, she's Bridget,
French ginger snaps.
basically.
Yeah.
And her sister's Ginger.
I was like, it's like a vampire, cannibal, werewolf all rolled into one.
Every episode, man.
I did briefly bring up the peeling skin. I thought the peeling skin was gnarly. It looked really good.
Yeah.
I mean, all this, obviously, any interview, if you ever see any interview with her, and it's quite, you know, it's very in your face, but Julia Ducournau says all the time, like, her number one, you know, GOAT director is David Cronenberg. That's like who she kind of idolizes. And, you know, she talks about that her favorite kind of movies are horror movies and body horror. And she's like just loves the genre, loves genre making of film. So, you know, I thought so much of like the peeling of the skin, and even though the physical transformations aren't, you know, you're not turning into a werewolf or a vampire. But like you said, there's almost this eating disorder look of her like getting like skinny and gaunt and like, you know, feral and animalistic. And I just kept thinking, I'm like, man, this has got to make Daddy Cronenberg pretty proud for someone that loves him so much.
And the transformation of Justine too, like near the end at one of the parties where she gets like blackout drunk, she is unrecognizable in that shot where she's wearing like the dress her sister gave her, which she like did not suit her when she first got it. It was all frumpy and shit over her outfit, but she's looking so damn feral and like sexy in that scene and just like confident, when before she's so meek like the entire time. It's awesome.
She's like, I can only wear this dress if I'm wearing my sweatshirt underneath.
Yeah.
Like,
and jeans.
Okay, girl.
Yeah.
And jeans, yeah.
I see my next note. I was saying, you know, there's nothing that annoys me more, or there's no situation I can't think of that's worse than like I've had a hard day at university, go into my room, I'm just trying to sleep, and I open my door and there's just a guy sucking dick in the way, and I'm like, I'm trying to sleep.
And he locks you out.
And he locks you out. And then you just gotta sit there and listen to it, and you're like, I just want to sleep. Just terrible times at university.
Yeah, don't have roommates.
Or at least figure out a system.
Also, don't try to fuck your gay roommate. That's like I think that's the lesson of the story.
Yeah, that's rookie mistake number 001. Like,
you know, I did like it in the story of Adrian. Like, I thought it was kind of interesting because, you know, we have Justine. Look at me trying to be all French, almost going.
Justine.
Let me get fancy here. Get a fancy cap on. Yeah, but like Justine, you know, obviously at the end, like she's very sex. Obviously, like she feels very connected to Adrian, and when Adrian's dead, and although I'm a little dubious of what she's sad about, because I think she kind of wanted to kill him. She kind of verbalizes like he's mine when she's telling her sister to back off and stuff like that. But Adrian, I'm a little dubious, a little predatory, I thought. Because we keep getting these speeches of like, oh, I'm just a gay man. And I'm like, are you though? Because not only did you seem to have fucked one sister, but you seem to have fucked the other sister also. Or at least attempting to. And I'm not sure if maybe he's confused that there is this thing that you can also be called bisexual, that maybe he might fit in that box a little better. Because, he doesn't seem too disgusted at any of this.
You can be gay and try to figure it out, you know? And I think in the end, he remained gay. I think he was like, yeah, what the fuck did I do? Kind of remorseful.
Yeah, he was saying no in the middle of it, which kind of was giving me vibes.
And then she was kind of ragey.
Yeah, but he was saying no because she kept trying to bite him.
I think he also wanted it to stop, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, he very clearly ends it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he was feeling the fact that she wanted to, bite his neck off, essentially.
Also that. She was really feral, but...
what a scene, though. Like,
literally.
I thought that scene was so good. Like, the shot of her, like, essentially, like, climaxing and, like, biting into, like, her wrist and just the blood dripping out and, like,
so
the look she's giving. I was, like, just, like, really, really good filmmaking. I was like, this is awesome. It's, like... It's just like creepy and erotic and like exactly what they're going for.
Loves a moment where sex and violence get intertwined.
I love that scene too, and I also really liked the fact that these two sisters, like the relationship between the two sisters, is very complex. And I also only have a sister, and the dad tells her early on, I think, don't have two girls; it's too hard. Yeah. And I really feel that because I feel like my poor dad like has suffered. Over the stress of having
poor
me
Dave
and my sister. Yeah, poor Dave. He needs a hug. But also like the sisterhood that they have and the sisterly bonds, they're like toxic but they're also loving and understanding, vengeful, but also kind of intimate and gruesome. And it is all consuming. And I really feel that like sisterly kind of bond with my sister, because it's kind of the same. It's like we're best friends 1 second, and then we want to like tear each other's faces off the next second. And then if we did, we'd probably help each other like patch it up like they did at the end. Visit each other in prison.
I'm going to bite your cheek and then put a bandage on it for you.
Yeah. And I love that also, like Ginger Snaps, I'll say it one last time, it's like a womanly curse, you know, like the dad is just like a bystander to like all this shit that's going on, like this turmoil, but they are literal like man eaters, and the mom goes through it and the two sisters go through it. And I think it also has to be some kind of commentary on like, I don't know, the curse of being a woman, and just like, I don't know, especially like sexually having this like kind of hunger and like impulses and stuff like that. There's so much you can dig into in this movie.
Well, that's why
Bite into,
yeah.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I'm fine with not having any of those curses as long as it doesn't involve me having all that hair in my mouth. I'm okay with that.
Disgusting.
I'm such a priss. Like, even if I'm eating something, there's like a tiny piece of hair, I won't complain. But if I'm like at home, I'm just throwing it in the garbage. Like, I can't even touch it if a piece of hair has been on it.
Yeah, it's nasty.
I'm just thinking, like, how much hair do you have to consume for that much hair to be in your mouth?
Oh my God. She was like
oh.
sucking her hair when she was like in the professor's office or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then, oh my God. It just, I was wondering too, when that scene happened, if it was gonna like show the toilet after and it actually wasn't very much hair and it was like all in her head sort of deal.
Yeah.
Well, and this was another scene. There's so many scenes in this that this is where I was like pulling at the closet monster, the thread between this and Closet Monster.
Mm-hmm.
Which was, you know, this to me was like very similar to the scene in Closet Monster where he's like puking up the like bolts, the nuts and the bolts and stuff, and it just like keeps coming out. And I was like, okay, yeah, like there's, you know, this kind of like all those feelings inside coming out, and you know, you're kind of yanking them out of you even if they don't want to come out. Just like great filmmaking. Now, you know, we've brushed against it. Let's talk about, like, to me, one of the main scenes in this is her first tastes of her sister. But this whole scene, am I the only one that got like really worried where this film was gonna go? Because we had many times as we're getting the Brazilian wax stuff ready that the dog kept like,
oh my God.
And I was like,
Jesus.
And you know what? No offense, any listeners from France. I know we got some in, you know, that area. I'm just saying, you know, the French, you guys have a habit of not really being concerned about how far we go in your horror movies. So
this is a compliment, by the way.
Yes, a very good compliment. But I was very, very concerned here, because like the first time I'm like, oh no, and then like she scoots him away, and then it comes back, and just the angle it's at, where it's like we're just seeing her legs spread essentially, and it's like behind the dog. I'm like, oh shit, we're really not going to do this, are we?
I was like, please don't be any peanut butter here.
There was big peanut butter vibes. Was anybody else from that shot getting, I made a note how it looks like the fucking mud flaps on like a transport truck, you know, the classic design where it's like a woman's legs spread on the mud flap.
Stop that.
You know what
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
What the fuck?
That's hilarious. I can't.
Oh my God. Okay. You have to.
Please show me a visual.
It's like a company, I feel. It's like a company logo that's always on, like truck guys always have. And I feel it's like on motorcycles and stuff too.
I don't like the juxtaposition of the words mud flaps and vagina.
Yeah, it is interesting wording to have in this conversation. But yeah, I don't know. You know, you're talking about complicated, you know, obviously me and Mike, not people that have sisters. You, Jill, people that have sisters. Like, is this something, Jill, you know, are you allowing your sister to give you a homemade Brazilian wax, which I feel it wasn't really a Brazilian wax. Like, you probably have to have your underwear off to have a Brazilian wax, would you not?
I don't know. I've never had one.
I neither have I, but I'm just, and I'm not trying to make this weird in the fact of like, oh, it's her sister or whatever. I'm just thinking, to me, if you're doing this to, you know, those special areas, I probably want a trained professional doing this, not just my sister
Her drunk sister.
Yeah, slapping it on.
Yeah.
While she still has her underwear on, it's like, okay, like, how are you? I don't know. I was like, there's so much about this that doesn't work.
I wouldn't personally do it, but I know the boundaries are often slim when it comes to like having a sister and doing that kind of stuff. My sister is always like, she'll always like walk around topless around me, and it weirds me the fuck out all the time, but she does stuff like that all the time. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me to see stuff like this too much.
Hi, Jill's sister.
Yeah, she has no shame whatsoever. Like, but the other thing about that scene too, and I know there's people out there who do that, like will like, you know, do a wax or like help shave, you know, nether regions of their sisters.
Yeah.
And it's not weird, but the part where the wax gets stuck, I was really freaking scared that they're going to show like her skin lifting off, and that would have been so nasty. I'm glad they didn't do it.
I feel like, is that like the kind of trauma for you? Like guys always talk about the trauma when they're like watching horror movies, like some guy like, you know, gets his dick cut off or like kicked in the balls or something. They're like, oh, I felt that one. Is this like the same kind of situation where you're like, oh,
I felt that one, even though I don't know. Yeah, it was freaking terrifying. I was like curling my toes and like kicking my feet.
Oh yeah, listen, even I was watching that like literally like white knuckle, like, oh god, I was like literally chewing on the top of my pen, like, don't do it, please.
Please no.
I had my note about, so once, you know, obviously she kicks the sister and we get her finger cut off and she passes out and all that stuff. My note was, I felt like I was at a sporting event. It's bad. We're in championship basketball season right now. That's how I felt, because I felt like a sports fan because she had the finger.
Stop it.
And I was just audibly being like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then she does it. I'm like, oh yeah, like, let's go. I was like, let's do it. Like, they teased it out the perfect amount of time of her just like kind of like licking it, and then the blood spills in her like palm, and then she's like eating the blood, and then she's just like nibbling, just a little nibble, a little taste.
Dude, that scene is crazy. And then you hear the dog in the background licking up the blood of her sister who's passed out, finger gone, and then she wakes up to see her sister eating her fucking finger. Which
I get, they're both cannibals, but you think, you know.
Yeah, her sister didn't even care.
If I'm your sister, it's like, you should have some respect. I'm your sister, so at least like let me have my finger back.
Yeah, dude, it's because she had no ice. That was like the last straw. She was like, all right, no ice. I'm gonna eat your finger, I guess.
And what's crazy is, I'm sure we're gonna get into it, but this was not the most disgusting scene in the movie. Nothing we have talked about. No pubic waxing, nothing. Later on, I will say what is the most disgusting scene in this, but it wasn't that.
What is it? I want to know.
Well, I'll get there. First, okay. I want to get to what I think, which is, it's not a question, the best looking shot, the most iconic shot of this is when she's staring at Adrian, like super crazy, and her nose is bleeding and stuff. This is what, like, the posters are of, the cover to all the movies. But, like, I was just like, this is, like, an iconic shot. I was like, I can see this in 15, 20 years just being, like, the iconic shot of this film. And it looked so good. And there was a lot, like, it's just, there were so many kind of scenes throughout this movie I felt were, like, good. Like, the mirror freak out where she's, like, dancing to this like gothic French rap group.
That was dope.
It was like I was like, is this French Cupcake? Like, this sounds like Cupcake lyrics.
The lyrics were like wild, and I was just like,
Head
what
of the dick, duck, 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 goose.
I was just like, yeah, this is insane how like perfect this hip hop group seems to be for this movie. Literally like a rap group of women talking about just like consuming men and flipping everything. I looked it up. I should have kept the window open and I didn't, but
I was going to say, was this a song that already existed and they like incorporated into the soundtrack, or is it an original song that they got somebody to record?
So as you talked, thanks for killing all that time.
You're welcome.
I did pop it out. I said that. Now, of course, I can't find it. I just had it up. But it is an actual rap group, and this is like one of their songs. Here it is. Ortiz is their gothic rock rap group. In the band,
what a combo!
The band is made up of two twin sisters, and their whole thing is rapping about men and the traditional ways that male rappers talk about women.
Okay,
I love it.
Yes, I just thought that very, very appropriate for this film. But that whole mirror scene I thought was awesome. Just kind of her like descent into madness of her just like dancing, putting the makeup on, kissing herself in the mirror, rubbing it off, obviously like fully embracing these changes. And this is where the sweater comes off and just the dress comes on. And then obviously this leads into the mayhem of the like super drunk scene and the sister taunting her with like the dead corpse in front of everybody, which I was kind of confused. Like everybody just cool with this at the party. Like they're all shocked and disgusted when the video leaks. But I'm like, all you people were at the party watching this, cheering it on. So you didn't really think it was that weird then. So I was confused why they thought it was weird after.
That was confusing. And it was never like touched on again after.
Yeah, and I mean, that scene has the most disgusting thing maybe ever in any film
here we go.
We've ever done, which is we just watch a woman open a guy's eyeball and just lick his eyeball.
I thought she was going to suck it out.
I didn't know what was going on, but I was like, this is... So I was cringing so much. I was like, oh my God, this is so disgusting.
You've never seen that before?
I mean, I've done it before. But
like they do that in Lolita and everything. That's like a thing.
Do you just say you've done it before?
Yeah, one time.
I never said I have done it before. I could never.
One time in high school.
Licking someone's eyeball is a thing.
Yeah.
Jill, you've licked someone's eyeball?
Yeah, my friend Megan in high school, we were drunk and high in her bedroom, and she was like, lick my eyeball. And I was like, I don't want to lick your eyeball. And she was like, lick my eyeball, bitch. And I was like, okay. So I did it, and it was weird.
Yeah.
That's all.
It is a thing. It's a thing that people do.
Apparently.
So just remember, guys, when next episode, when we tell you the police have been at Jill's house because she's also been eating humans.
She also licked my eyeball, so it was reciprocal at least.
This story isn't making it any better. Like you're continuing this story, and it's not getting any better. This is wild. This is the revelation in the whole episode. Jesus.
We're getting like this whole window into Jill's sordid past life.
Help us. Help. Yeah, I mean, what else do you guys have for notes? I only really have 2 other notes on this. We've hit a lot of the stuff.
Well, you were going to ask if this is gay or not. Did we already really talk about
that?
Yeah,
okay, so let me talk. My 2 notes are more just like specifics about the movie. That conversation is kind of how I wanted to end the review. With that, I did have down. The ending. I love this ending. I like iconic ending of the father reveal of the mom also doing it. I knew there was some sort of connection because they early in the movie, Alexia shows Justine the picture of her mom like drenched in blood in her freshman year. So I was like, okay, there's a connection here. But yeah, I thought like. Honestly, I'm like, should be on a list of like iconic horror movie reveals of like the dad just opening up the shirt with all the bites. And I'm like, holy shit. Like,
yeah,
that's odd. You guys enjoyed that ending or?
Yeah, it was extensive. And it was very unsettling too. Like seeing, they kind of zoom in on that upper lip we're talking about. Like,
yeah.
You know, he has that
and he's
bit
like
off.
rubbing it while he's talking about it.
Yeah, really eerie. Like, this whole movie gives me the freaking creeps.
And then my last note, which is for the whole film, really, is I talked about, I love the party scenes. I love the music, like the licensed music they use, but the score in this is also fantastic. Like, the score is really good.
Oh, yeah, banger. It's like such a sick banger.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just kind of mad that it took me this long to watch the movie, because just the score and the music alone, I'm like, oh yeah, like right up my alley. Why didn't anyone tell me this?
You're like, I could have been listening to the soundtrack for the last 4 years.
So yeah, did you guys have, before I get into like that conversation I wanted to have, did you guys have anything like specific about the movie?
Mm-mm.
So yeah, the conversation I wanted to have to kind of, I thought, end the review. We're in Pride Month. I picked this for my Pride pick, and I said one of the reasons is not only was it on my watch list, but this is on like Variety, IndieWire, Shudder, like Bloody Disgusting, like everybody everywhere, like a lot of like actual like queer websites. Like this is on every list for this is what you need to watch during Pride and all that. So we have Adrian, who to me isn't really like, even though he's billed third, he's not really that important to the story. But I guess I kind of had this thought about, and I was thinking about like Ginger Snaps, stuff like that. Ginger Snaps also is surprisingly on a lot of lists as well. But I was kind of interested in your guys' opinion of, like, to me, I look at this as kind of like far more this kind of like feminist set pieces, feminist film, more so than I do like a queer film. And I kind of, as I was looking at these lists, thought it was interesting that, is there a difference between that? Because I feel like maybe sometimes those lines can get blurred, where to me, I think just because something's feminist doesn't mean it's necessarily like a queer film. I mean, like, anything can be looked at in the queer lens, and I'm not saying this can't. There's lots of stuff in this that can. Like I said, there's heavy threads like Closet Monster of, like pulling stuff out of you and inside of you. And then I think there also could be a bigger conversation on, yes, Justine being, deflowered by Adrian and stuff, but that was kind of like to fulfill this hunger that he also never actually fills, because she's still hungry. She's still out looking for what she wants. But yeah, I just thought this might be one of the more, one of the least like in your face Pride movies we've ever picked, I think. And I guess I kind of wanted your guys' thoughts on that, is just because I was like, I get these heavy feminist vibes, but I did find it kind of hard. And, I'm just the straight white guy, guys. Like, so, who knows? But I felt it was kind of hard pulling a lot of queer context out of it. And, like, so I was just wondering what you guys got out of it in terms of, like, queer context, or am I totally off base here and I'm just an idiot?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I wrote a note because I was like gonna message the group chat, and then I said, no, obviously I'll just wait until we're talking about it. But I was like, I'm a little bit perplexed why this would be on lists and you picked it. But I don't know anything about the director, so I was like, oh, I don't know if she's like, gay or like trans or something, or I don't know anything about her personal life. Well, I was like, just going on what I'm given in the film, like, there are readings of it that lean that way, but I was like, the heaviest aspect of it that I'm getting is more that, like, one of the characters, I mean, he's not the main character, like I said, he's more of a secondary character, is gay, and then there's a weird waft of a incesty vibe between the sisters every now and then, but I was like, that can't be what people are like putting it on in this category for. But like I said, I don't know. I wasn't getting a big vibe from it. It just sort of like, like I feel like it's more of like people reading it that way, maybe.
Yeah, same for me. I almost forgot that it was a Pride pick because, like you said, the actual gay character is so peripheral, like that it's hard to kind of gauge that. And I think you're onto something, Rowan, because when I did like the Pride list, like top whatever movies with like bisexuality, I found it really hard to find movies that actually had explicit like bisexuality in it, and it was kind of a
Well,
lot
Tom
like
Cruise
this.
doesn't star in a lot of horror movies, so.
Oh my god, stop it! But yeah, it was hard, and I think like it kind of continues with this, and through just like a gay lens. Like it's hard to find, you know, very prominent picks for Pride because a lot of them are like this, where it's just like little tinges of things, but it's not the focus.
Yeah, that to me, the only thing I could really kind of really pull from it that I was like, okay, maybe like kind of this was kind of, you know, as they deal with this subject matter of like being a cannibal or coming out as a cannibal, and that like by the end of it, this Justine and Alexia are like, you know, they're proud of who they are, like even though they're different. So I was like, okay, like I can see on that thing, it's like
a coming out narrative.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a coming of age film, but yeah, this like coming out narrative of like, yeah, I'm different, but like, fuck everybody else. I'm different. That's
and
fine.
She came clean to her dad, and her dad's like, oh, I totally understand. Like,
yeah. But yeah, so I'm glad I'm not the only one that felt that. So I can't say that, like, to me, most people would be like, then why the hell did you pick it? A, I didn't see it, people. So, but B, I'm glad I did, because I think it's interesting to talk about these for those facts. Because obviously, when we're picking films for Pride, like usually I'm sure you guys the same as me, like if it's my pick, you're usually trying to find something that's like so hitting you over the head or explicit that you're like, yeah, this is a Pride pick, this is like all gay characters, or oddly enough, I was looking back at all our picks, apparently big fans of like lesbian horror, because we seem to always pick lesbian horror during Pride, but I was like, so it's kind of interesting to have something that we can kind of talk about that may not or may be in this category that everyone seems to put it in.
Well,
and it's so hard. Like the interviews I've seen with the director and stuff, like, you know what directors are like. They don't want to be pigeonholed into anything. So even though all she makes are these like horror genre movies, you know, she's like, oh, I don't look at it like I make horror movies, or I just make movies. And so even you're not even getting any hints from the director in that in that way.
We also did the Babadook a couple years ago for Pride, and that was also
well, he's just an icon.
Yeah.
That was kind of memey.
Yeah.
You know,
the Babadook's just an icon. That's really all that's
yeah
about.
I feel like this one, it's like with a lot of movies, you know, there's like subtlety, but it's also like a lot on how you read the movie. Like I said, there was a bit of, I mean, there is a, you know, gay character in it, and there is the weird kind of incesty vibes, and then there's like the images of like with her and her sister of like transformation, so it's kind of given like a little bit of like a trans vibe, and I don't know, I feel like it sort of lends itself to that sort of reading and critique, so it's more about that than maybe like explicit, you know, plot points and stuff. So, and you know, like with these picks, it's like sometimes it's just like, was it made by, you know, like a queer filmmaker, or, you know, the stars of it or whatever. So it's I feel like that's what's interesting about these picks, is that like sometimes they're not like the ones that you might immediately in your mind think of or grasp at, but the reading of it really like lends itself to that. That's my take.
Yeah, definitely.
So are we comfortable going in the rating this? So we'll land the plane. If you're new to the podcast, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Mike, what would you rate 2016's Raw?
Okay, I'm going to give it a yay. I really enjoyed this movie. Unfortunately, I probably also, because I was in a bit of a spiral, and then I started watching it and I went, oh God, it's one of these French movies. This is not going to be good for my mental health. I love these like dark French movies where like people do fucked up weird shit and like their minds and bodies start to unravel, and it's always something that I watch when I'm in a bad headspace.
Yep.
So that could be influencing me somewhat, but yeah, I sort of did see a lot of other films and filmmakers and ideas in here, and I appreciate her like references and the influences. You can definitely, I love that she called out Cronenberg, because it's such an obvious like point of reference in her like metaphor. I just feel like I've been thinking about movies lately that are actually very similar to this, and some of them are also French, that kind of pushed their ideas somehow even further, which I know sounds weird, but you know, the French. Like, you never know what you're going to get, right? So it kind of like keeps it from being a sleigh for me, because I know a lot of people don't agree with this, but it almost didn't go far enough for me. I feel like it didn't push the idea and the metaphor. It kind of like, besides a couple of like, you know, little twists in the road, it kind of ended up where I thought it was going to end up, which is not a bad thing, but I don't know. It was just like almost aiming at like masterful, but sort of falls short. So I give it a yay. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully when I'm in a better headspace, I'll watch it again, and you know, maybe I'll get a like disc of it or something. Ro, what do you think? It was your pick.
Yeah, so I can kind of see what you were saying, because I kind of felt watching this, I was like, I could see horror people saying they felt, which is weird to say about all the things that are in this film, but like it almost didn't go far enough in terms of horror, because other than like kind of the major moments, like this is just kind of playing out as this like coming of age, like university fucked up film, but like there's not really a lot of horror moments in it other than like the like, you know, 3 or 4 beats that they have in this. Now, saying that, I feel like one of the people driving the cars that Alexia jumps in front of and smashes into, because I was like floored at how much I enjoyed watching this. I just like every moment of it, I was just like, how, like, where have you been all my life, beautiful? Like, this is what I look for. It was enough for me. I enjoyed the score. I enjoyed the music. I liked the story, the twists and turns of it. I think I'm going to give it a slay. I really, really like this. I'm already excited to like watch it again at some point. And, you know, I've been ragging on Exilia like, man, I think you'd really be into this.
She'll love it.
So yeah, I'm going to give it a slay. What about you, Jill?
Yeah, I agree with points that both of you guys made. Like, at points, I was wondering, okay, when is like the real horror going to start? Especially like through the first half of the movie, especially. Like you said, it could be kind of construed at points as like a coming of age, like going to your university sort of like psychological thriller. And also I agree with Mike saying like they didn't take the metaphor far enough. For me, I would have liked that to have been more rounded out, especially like with the cannibalism. Like I want to know more about like the origins. I kind of want them to like just spoon feed me a little bit more.
Listen,
honestly.
Sometimes you need it.
Yeah, but I think definitely it's a movie I want to go back and rewatch, because I feel like there's a lot that I miss, because there's like so many little layers throughout that you would kind of need to be aware of at times. So I think there's a lot of rewatchability to it, like especially once you like see the twist and all that. So for that reason, and I also really enjoyed the score. The music was really good. But yeah, it's going to be a yay for me. It just wasn't Slay territory exactly, but I really enjoyed it and can see myself rewatching it.
Nice. So 2 yays and a slay from the squad. And so we told you what we thought about it, and we asked you, what did you think? And nobody wrote us this time about Raw.
Oh, dang.
So I don't know if that's just
wow,
like
Raw got a raw deal.
Raw dog deal, yeah. So I don't know.
Raw dog.
I don't know if like nobody saw it, you know, that many people that follow us or whatnot. But you know what? If next episode you can still write us and let us know what you thought about Raw if you just didn't get around to it. But yeah, with that, I know someone that did write us, and that was Nicholas sent us a voicemail. So let's go over to the horrific hotline and see what Nicholas had to say about Raw.
Okay, first of all, I have to say I love it. First an Austrian movie, now a French-Belgian movie. Keep doing the international features. I'm just sad that there aren't many great horror movies from Germany that you could discuss, except if you're into silent movies.
What about Das
Because
Bunker?
I do think Raw is an excellent movie. I'll spoil my review right now. It will be a slay because I love that movie. I love the director. I think her short film before that was pretty good. Raw is a masterpiece, and Titan or Titan is also pretty good. And Raw is just, well, it is Raw. The title is the movie, basically. I think it has some really disgusting scenes without going into, I don't know, Cronenberg levels of body horror. There is a perfect scene with the finger where she accidentally cuts off her sister's finger and then decides to lick the blood and eat the finger. That is haunting. The whole movie is haunting. The soundtrack is great. Then there is a final reveal at the end that also stuck with me for days after watching the movie for the first time. This idea of cannibalism, or the idea of cannibalism in the movie being this kind of hereditary sickness, and therefore they had to be protected. I love the main actress who plays Justine. I think she does a brilliant job in the movie.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah, overall it's just praise. I think it's a great movie. Ever since I've seen it for the first time in 2017, I think I've watched it more or less on a regular basis every 1.5 to 2 years. And I still get shivers at the finger scene and at the end. It's great. And I am really looking forward to what else is coming from the creative team behind this movie. I hope there will be something soon.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with them. The actress's name, Garance Marlier, I believe is how you say her name. We didn't even talk about her, but she was fantastic. I mean, we said just stuff about the movie, but yeah, she was fantastic in it and really made the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree. The acting was really good.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, Nicholas, we kind of been spoiling you, I think, where... It's just been international film after international film. It's really not been on purpose either. It's just kind of that's how it's landed. So enjoy it while it lasts. And then when we make you watch just like pure American trash for 5 months. And then when Colton comes back and, you know, he tries to get like Joggist, the revenge going. Well, then we'll see how you feel then. But yeah, if you want to be like Nicholas and leave us a voicemail, you can do so by emailing it to itslacespodcast@gmail.com or just message us on anywhere like Instagram, any of our social media. If you can get us a recording of your voice, even if you're just doing it on your phone on voice notes, we'll figure out a way to play it and we'll play it on the show. And it doesn't have to be about the movie that we're getting ready to record. You can talk about whatever. You want to talk about April Fool's Day, the episode from 6 years ago, we can talk about that. Or if you just have general questions about Jill and what an eyeball tastes like, you can let her know. She'll answer all your questions.
And what flavor her eyeball is.
That's
salty.
And if you're not following us already, you can do so by following us at It Slays Podcast. Pretty much anywhere there's any social media. We're on Instagram, Slasher, Letterboxd, Facebook, Tumblr, Threads, Bluesky, TikTok. I feel like I'm just like forgetting about social medias. But basically, if there is a social media, look us up. We're probably there, or we'll probably be there soon. And Jill, why don't you tell the people about our Patreon?
Of course. So if you want to join the ranks of our horror hounds like Holly, Nicholas, Sacrotype, Dan, Brian, Trevor, and James, head on over to patreon.com/itslayspodcast and choose the tier that works best for you. Perks include early access to episodes of our main show and also access to our Patreon exclusive show called Stream Screams and the ability to pick a movie for us to review. Now, we were talking about all the bangers in this movie. You think you're going to add them to the playlist, Rowan?
Oh, yeah. There's stuff getting added to the playlist from this. I wish we could insert in the playlist, like, like in the 90s, early 2000s, like, the hip-hop DJs, they'd have their drops in it, and they, it would say something, like, So you guys could just hear my voice after every song, just be like, banger, banger,
Banger, banger, banger.
Yeah, there'll be something added to it. So you can go to Spotify, go to the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist. If you have any problems finding it, you can go to any of the social media that I just mentioned briefly ago. Go into the bio, click the Linktree link, and there is a button there that'll take you directly there. We upload scores and licensed music from iconic horror movies we review, or just horror movies we love. We update it regularly, so go follow it and get your spooky music on, because why the hell not? And last but not least, we were so lucky this Pride Month that we get 2 Pride episodes. Luckily we didn't hit a month. Some months we only do like 1 episode, and that's all that lands in that month. But we get a second one. And unlike, I think, last Pride Month, which was the 2 straight guys picked Pride movies, I think it was me and Colton that picked.
Jesus.
The gods have been friendlier to the community, and they have allowed Mike to be the pick. So, Mike, let the people know what they should be watching.
Have they been friendlier? That remains to be seen. They might actually be vengeful and very unfriendly.
God.
Okay, so for the next episode, we should all be feasting our salt and vinegar flavored eyeballs on from 1970, directed by the icon, the legend, the moment, John Waters. Multiple maniacs. Multiple maniacs. Get it in your eyeballs.
That's so gay. John Waters.
As gay as it gets.
Yup. Yes, baby.
So get Multiple Maniacs into your eye holes for next episode. We'll be back. As always, thank you for all the support. I am your humble host, Rowan.
Bye, it's Mike.
Bonsoir, croissant.
See you later.